So welcome to our first introductory lectures on the foundations of polyvagal informed therapies. I will be providing information on the scientific foundation, and we will have interactive dialogue with master clinician Deb Dana, who's joining us today. And then in the second phase of this foundational lecture series, Deb will be presenting examples from her clinical work, and I will be deconstructing it from a polyvagal lens or through a polyvagal lens. And Deb and I will have dialogue about what her intentions were and what I see as being effective in changing the client state. To start with, we'll be doing a foundational talk, or I will be presenting basic principles of polyvagal theory, and we will have breaks in which we will discuss a clinician's perspective of these principles, and I will dialogue with what the underlying neurophysiological and scientific foundations are. So what are the consequences of retuning the autonomic nervous system? And we have to start asking questions like, does trauma influence autonomic reactivity by degrading the efficiency of the vagal brake? And we're going to shortly talk more about the vagal brake. But to understand what the vagal brake is, we have to look at a picture of respiration and heart rate. The top part of the slide is really showing the oscillations in breathing. That's chest wall activity. So you're inhaling, it goes up, when you exhale, it goes down. But below it, you see oscillations in heart rate that are paralleling the breathing pattern. You see this breathing pattern in the heart rate, and the amplitude of that oscillation in the heart rate is an index of the vagal or ventral vagus impact on the heart, on the heart's pacemaker. I was and am and still very interested in, can we use survey tools to monitor physiological state? And I developed what was called the Body Perception Questionnaire, and it asked subjects questions about their autonomic reactivity. And we are conducting a study. Let's go back to our heat maps on the right, and let's ask this question of purpose in life, which is on the y-axis, and let's look at autonomic reactivity. So if it's to the left of the 0, it means low, and it's high there. You can see the high brightness in that left-hand panel of the right side. The yellow meaning that in individuals without childhood maltreatment, their autonomic reactivity is not, it's actually below the normative level. And we can see that purpose in life is very high. Look at this picture. This is a picture of an orphanage in Eastern Europe. We can see certain features of these children. There are lots of children in the room, and there are lots of toys. But one thing is quite unusual. No two children are looking at each other or looking at the same object. They are isolated in a room of many children. They're disconnected. And the faces that you see are flat faces. They're not, no sense of exuberance or excitement. And when we look at typically developing children, we see a big difference in their faces. They're looking at a common object, and they are often playing together. Now, what I juxtapose the orphanage picture with is a picture by Picasso called Guernica. Guernica is a painting about the Spanish Revolution. And if you look carefully at this picture, you see that no two humans or no two mammals in the picture are looking at each other. And it conveys chaos. This feeling of non-interaction conveys this feeling of lack of trust, lack of safety, and chaos and destruction. And the question now is, with this knowledge or this portal you have now as a therapist, you have two different ways of going with this. One is that you inform your client about their own history, and the other one is you utilize this information in the therapeutic model of trying to move them through their different physiological states. So let me learn from you for a few minutes.
Oh, and I just want to say that it was lovely to dive into the science, because I think it is important for clinicians, any kind of helping professional to understand the science. And now we can sort of explore what does that mean for our work. So thank you for that first part.
And part of what my message, if we can call it a message, is that we haven't been privileged to really get the full story of who we are. And we've been given a mandate that those feelings, those biological substrates that are going through our body, we just should reject them and not listen to them, not witness them, not honor them. But when we start to witness and to honor them, we start getting tremendous insights about who we are and how we can optimize our own experience and the experience of those in our lives. So to the master clinician.
It's lovely to have a conversation. I like that what you say about, that we've been given a story and we need to understand, because for me, that is where the beginning is, to understand our own system first so that we can then help our clients understand their system. So I imagine as people were listening to your opening lecture, they were beginning to think about their own nervous system and how they respond. I think what we begin to do is we begin to tune in. I call it befriending. We begin to tune into our responses and we begin to have a roadmap. That's what you've given us, is a roadmap. And we need a roadmap. We need to understand where we're going and how to get back to regulation. So that's that, the evolution, the hierarchy, helps us understand how was this nervous system created? And then dissolution helps us understand how we travel back and forth along that evolutionary timeline. So yes, it's the foundational starting point, I think, for our work with clients, is to help them understand we have these 3 states that we all go through in big and small ways all the time. And learning to understand the emergent properties of those states and how to track them is where we start.
So hi, Donna. Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to figure out where our nervous systems want to be to do this session together. Okay. So this feels a little odd. I think.
I would agree.
Okay. So let's play with the setup and see.
Okay.
Would you like to move? Do you want me to move?
Maybe I could move first, if that would be okay.
Yep.
I'm going to shift my chair just a
Absolutely.
little this way.
Yeah. So see how that is. Today's a nice breath.
Okay, this really is a very interesting example of the negotiation between the therapist and the client to create a state of safety. And it's negotiating with the client's neuroception, even though the client may not know what that word means. The movements to the side or closer or back, and getting that sense of body reactions. So remember, neuroception is our body's reaction to cues of safety or threat without awareness, but we're aware of our bodily reactions. And that's what Deb is asking Donna. How do you feel? What's your nervous system telling you?